She washed her hands 63 times that morning, not because they were dirty. She knew they weren't dirty. She's a rational person, a lawyer, actually, top of her class. But the thought wouldn't stop. What if there's something on them? What if I contaminate my daughter's food? What if she gets sick and it's my fault? So she washed them again and again until the skin cracked open and bled. This is not about being clean. This is OCD. And almost everything you think you know about it is wrong. Scroll through social media and the pattern repeats. Someone will joke that they are so OCD about their desk while showing off color-coded pens, or a meme about alphabetized spice racks, tagged hashtag OCD. The message is everywhere. OCD means neatness, a quirky love of order, a punchline for the hyper-organized. But behind the hashtags, the real numbers tell a different story. Obsessive-compulsive disorder is not rare, not a personality type, and not a joke. Roughly 2 to 3% of adults worldwide will meet the criteria for OCD at some point in their lives. That is as many as 1 in 40 people, tens of millions in every country, every culture. The World Mental Health Surveys put the global lifetime prevalence at just over 4%. In the United States alone, the National Institute of Mental Health estimates over 3 million adults have lived with OCD in the past year. Women are diagnosed about twice as often as men, but the disorder cuts across gender, age, and background. Most cases begin before age 24, and for many, the symptoms start in childhood or adolescence. This is not about loving, clean spaces. It is about losing hours each day to rituals that do not make sense but cannot be stopped. It is about hands washed until they bleed, doors checked until dawn, thoughts so disturbing they are hidden even from family. The meme version of OCD erases the reality. This is a serious medical condition, as common as diabetes or asthma, and just as misunderstood. When society laughs it off, the real suffering stays invisible. Millions are left fighting their own minds in silence. Obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD, is defined not by a love of order, but by the presence of obsessions and compulsions that hijack daily life. An obsession is more than a passing worry. It is a relentless, unwanted thought, image, or urge that crashes into awareness and brings a wave of anxiety or disgust. These thoughts are intrusive, often disturbing, and feel utterly alien to the person experiencing them. They might center on contamination, harm, symmetry, or even taboo subjects. But the common thread is that they are not wanted, not chosen, and never a reflection of intent. A compulsion is the desperate attempt to neutralize the obsession's threat. This might look like hand washing, checking, counting, repeating words, or running silent, mental rituals. The act is performed not because it brings pleasure, but because it briefly relieves the unbearable anxiety triggered by the obsession. Relief is fleeting, and the cycle renews itself. Obsession, anxiety, compulsion, temporary calm, and then the next intrusive thought. Each time the ritual is performed, the brain learns that the only way to escape the obsession is to obey it, reinforcing the loop. This is the core mechanism that keeps OCD alive, a feedback circuit of threat and relief powered by fear and maintained by repetition. Clinically, OCD is diagnosed when these obsessions or compulsions consume more than an hour a day, or when they cause significant distress or disruption. The threshold is not arbitrary. Many people have odd habits or superstitions, but the rituals of OCD are time-devouring and inescapable. The disorder is not a quirk of personality, but a condition that can dismantle relationships, work, and self-trust, all while remaining largely invisible to the outside world. Beneath the surface, this loop is what sets OCD apart from everyday worry or routine. Understanding this cycle is the key to recognizing the many faces of OCD, some obvious, others hidden deep inside the mind. A mother stands frozen at her kitchen counter, knife in hand, as a sudden image of her child hurt by her own doing flashes through her mind. She knows she would never harm her child, but the thought alone is enough to make her hide every sharp object in the house, checking and rechecking, replaying the moment in her head. This is harm OCD, a form that affects nearly 1 in 3 people with OCD, according to community studies. The fear is not of germs, but of herself, of what her mind might conjure, even as every instinct protests. Elsewhere, a young engineer lies awake, haunted by a loop of intrusive images and doubts. There are no outward rituals, no washing, no checking, just relentless mental review, counting, replaying memories, repeating phrases until they feel safe. This is often called pure O, or primarily obsessional OCD. The compulsions are invisible, but the exhaustion is real. Surveys suggest about 1/5 of people with OCD experience this hidden version, often feeling isolated by the secrecy of their struggle. In another home, a couple sits quietly, but one partner is caught in a storm of doubt. Do I really love them? Every conversation is replayed for reassurance. This is relationship OCD, ROCD, affecting 51.3% of those who self-identify with OCD, according to NOCD's large community sample. The need for certainty never fades. These faces of OCD rarely appear in pop culture. They unfold in silence behind closed doors, where 31.8% live with harm OCD, and many more fight invisible battles against their own thoughts. Inside the skull, a circuit hums, a loop of brain regions that keeps most people's thoughts moving quietly in the background. In obsessive-compulsive disorder, this circuit misfires. The cortico-striato-thalamic cortical loop, known as CSTC, becomes hyperactive, its signals amplified like a siren that never shuts off. At the heart of this loop sits the caudate nucleus, a structure sometimes called the gatekeeper. Its job is to filter out the mental static, letting harmless thoughts drift away before they ever reach full awareness. When the caudate falters, the gate swings open. Thoughts that should be dismissed as irrelevant, fleeting worries, odd images, stray impulses, are instead flagged as urgent, dangerous, impossible to ignore. Functional MRI scans reveal the signature of this malfunction, a surge of activity in the orbitofrontal cortex, the anterior cingulate, and the striatum, as if the brain's alarm system is stuck on high alert. The caudate's weakened filter allows these signals to flood the conscious mind, and the thalamus relays the message that something is wrong, even when nothing is. The result is a mind that treats its own thoughts as threats, demanding action, rituals, checking, washing, or silent mental review to restore a sense of safety. This is not a matter of willpower or character. It is the brain's circuitry mislabeling the ordinary as catastrophic. The person knows the thought is irrational, but the gatekeeper has failed, and the warning bell will not stop ringing. The compulsion to act is not a choice. It is a learned response to relentless, misfired alarms. Understanding this broken circuit reframes OCD from a personal flaw to a neurological disorder, a physical loop gone awry, not a reflection of who someone is. Try not to think of a white bear. For the next minute, do anything but picture a white bear. The harder you try, the more stubbornly it appears. Fur, paws, snout, lumbering through your mind, refusing to leave. In Daniel Wegner's 1987 experiment, this was no trick of imagination, but a demonstration of the mind's ironic process. Suppress a thought, and it rebounds, louder than before. The same paradox powers obsessive-compulsive disorder. People with OCD try desperately to push away a disturbing image or idea, only to find it returns, stronger, more urgent, impossible to ignore. Each attempt to force the thought out only marks it as dangerous, fueling the cycle of obsession and compulsion. The act of suppression becomes its own trap. The white bear isn't just a joke, it's a warning about the mind's blind spots and why fighting a thought can turn it into an enemy. Exposure and response. Prevention, known as ERP, stands as the gold standard for treating obsessive-compulsive disorder. The approach is deceptively simple: face the fear without performing the ritual. In practice, this means a person with contamination obsessions might touch a doorknob and resist washing their hands, or someone tormented by intrusive harm thoughts sits with the anxiety instead of seeking reassurance. The process is structured and gradual, guided by a clinician who helps build a hierarchy of feared situations and exposures. Over weeks, the brain relearns that anxiety can rise and fall without the compulsion, and the threat loses its power. The evidence is striking. In a large audit of ERP delivered through NOCD, participants saw an average reduction of 43.4% on the Yale-Brown obsessive-compulsive scale. 2 out of 3 experienced a meaningful drop in symptoms. Those results hold up across digital and in-person settings. ERP does not erase intrusive thoughts, but it rewires the brain's alarm system, teaching the mind that it can survive uncertainty without surrendering to the cycle. Right now, 1 in 30 faces a mind that turns its own thoughts against them. OCD is not a quirk. It is a relentless neurological loop, rewiring reality. Silence only strengthens its grip. The real disorder is not hidden in ritual, but in how easily we dismiss the struggle.